Ooh.
We are live. This is Literary Roadhouse. One short story once a week. I'm Anais.
I'm Gerald.
And I'm Andy.
So we read The Rabbit Matchmakers by Andrew Phillips. This was recommended by a guest that we had on many episodes ago, Caitlin Hamilton Summy.
Not allowed on again.
Wow. Caitlin probably listens to the show. Caitlin, they hated it. I didn't hate it. Okay.
You're allowed on the show again.
It was a joke. It's British sense of humour. Give me a break.
All right.
I'm stressed too.
Summary time. In the story, we meet Henry. Henry's 12, 6th grade. He's about to go into middle school. He's shy, sensitive boy. He has taken up care for his late grandfather's aging bunny rabbit, Flora. And he goes on a field trip. His parents hope he's going to make some human friends. But that doesn't really pan out. He gets back. His older brother, Ted, was supposed to take care of Flora. He totally forgot. So Flora got no food for 3 days. She's not doing well. She's running around trying to kill herself. Apparently, this is the thing rabbits do. I should fact check that. So he gets mad at Ted, which normally he's not the kind of kid to like say anything, but he did. They have a little fight, and then he becomes more proactive in trying to get Flora companionship because he feels she's been lonely. She's been losing a lot of weight ever since Grandpa Charlie died, I think 6 months ago. So he finds out about rabbit matchmaking. You go and you take a rabbit and you basically put them on speed dates with other rabbits, 10 minutes at a time, see how it goes. He finds some contact information from a woman who breeds rabbits who Grandpa Charlie knew. He does a little bit of child manipulation of the parents to get permission for this. He and Ted then go and set up Flora on some dates. During one of the dates, they discover that Flora has uterine cancer, and Grandpa Charlie lied about getting her spayed. And Ted's like, yeah, well, he lied about a lot of things. Like, for example, he wasn't actually a vet in the Korean War. And then Henry has to deal with the fact that Flora is going to die very soon. She's old. She's got cancer. She's lost a lot of weight. She's just had a very stressful 3 days where she had no food. And yeah, so that's the story. It ends very abruptly. Am I missing something from the ending? It just ends abruptly, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
It just stops.
It just stops, yeah. And Ted's like, whoa, that horse story is pretty funny. That made up. Well, we can get into that in the discussion. Okay. Did I miss anything from the summary?
No, that's about it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something going on between the rabbit lady and the grandpa, probably, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's right. I like that.
Yeah.
Some sort of dating thing going on.
Like it's unclear how Grandpa died, but it seems something. I assume he killed himself.
That's what I think.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They like dance around it, but the opening line is loneliness killed Grandpa Charlie.
And then later, there's that line about how they don't talk about the way he died.
Yeah, something about the way he died.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So.
Like rabbit, like grandpa. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's the well-known adage.
Yeah, that's right. Because he admired the rabbits for being masters of their own death.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that what the story is? Is this story just like clues to figure out what really happened? Because I don't know what the theme is. It keeps eluding me.
It's I just can't. I mean, I know we've had all sorts of stories on the podcast before, and some you like, sometimes you don't like them, and it's like, I don't know. It's I don't dislike it. And I don't like it, but I can't get a handle on anything. It sort of ends abruptly, and you think, what was all that about? And you read it again, and you think, I still don't know what it was about. And it's kind of strange, but it's nicely written, which we'll come on to later. But yeah, it could be that. It could be that. It's a good spot.
I felt, because like I've loved a lot of stories we read that end in everybody dying and nobody's happy, right? That's one of the things I like about most of these stories. But I don't know, this one didn't do it for me, and it's not like it was incompetently written. It's written more or less proficiently, but it didn't connect in any way that I cared about any of these things going on. And I don't know. I hesitate to throw out the term hot garbage, right?
But you did. But you just did. I hesitate to throw out the term that I'm throwing out right now.
The blurb at the end, the little bio. Yeah. Andrew Phillips is currently an MFA fiction candidate, and this is his first published short story. And I think just that sums it up. That's my critique. Like, do more and over time get better, Andrew Phillips. Like,
wow.
This is a thing. This is an attempt at a story.
Wow.
And it's got all of the parts there.
Wow.
Write like 12 more of these.
Wow.
And then I'll probably like
Andrew Phillips on the phone now. He's just calling up.
I think it was better than that.
Yes.
But I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying like this is someone who's on a path, but I'm not seeing the part of the path I want to read yet.
Okay. So you're saying you see potential.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
I also I shared this story with friend of the show, Karina.
Yes.
And her take was, I think this was one of his assignments. Like this was his schoolwork that he got feedback on and then reworked and submitted, and it got published.
We've read a lot of stories on this podcast where I've had that same thought. I'm glad she was bold enough to say it.
Yeah. Once she said it, I'm like, yep, that's what I didn't like.
It could be sort of write a story about death or something.
Or loneliness. I would say the theme is more loneliness than death. Or the way that or that loneliness before death, kind of, more than anything else.
I think the characters were sort of a bit stereotypy, like the kid Henry is just, he's quite annoying in a way because he's I don't know, I try to be sympathetic, but there's no sort of him getting to grips with himself. He just accepts everything that happens to him, and it's just,
That's not true.
What?
That is not true.
What?
Okay.
You're saying that's not true?
I also sent this to a friend of mine who was like, so what's wrong with Henry? Nothing's wrong with Henry. It's okay to be shy and not want to look at suits of armor and old weapons and constantly be ogling cheerleaders. Like, he's just, he's got a different vibe. Yeah, at the Met. He didn't care about the armor. Remember at the Met when they go on the trip?
I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. He should have.
Well, but what I'm saying is, but when he gets mad at Ted, he says it. When he doesn't want to go to the arcade, he doesn't go to the arcade. He's okay with who he is. It's other people who are not okay with who he is. And then when he decides, okay, I need to be more proactive about getting Flora some companionship, he takes the initiative, he does the research, and he even has the wherewithal and the social manipulative skills, which I appreciate, of being like, okay, so mom's going to be more sympathetic, dad's going to be hard, let me go to dad first, and then dad's going to call mom, and then mom's going to convince dad. Like, he had this whole thing, like, to me, he is a high-functioning kid who is very okay with not having a bunch of friends, who is into rabbits, which, you know what? To each their own. No one's saying anything about the old lady with the billion rabbits. And I think there's this expectation, especially boys of that age, that they have to be like more extroverted or more into certain things or something like that. And he's just very comfortable not being that kind of kid. But there is a quiet confidence that comes through the story when he stands up for himself and his rabbit that you're like, he'll be fine. Henry is fine. He'll be fine.
Okay.
Have I convinced anyone?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, you convinced me that Henry is fine. You haven't convinced me the story is fine. Zing. Take that, Andrew Phillips.
Wow. I liked Henry because, he's doing his thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. He is. I don't disagree.
I didn't dislike anyone in the story.
Well, Ted's a jerk.
No, he's not. Ted is a 17-year-old.
He starved the baby. 17-year-old boys are jerks. I mean,
he goes with his brother on multiple bunny dates. Okay, like
out of guilt. of the bunny he
But
murdered.
he has the guilt. There's a lot of kids who, like bad kids, who wouldn't have the guilt. A jerk wouldn't even have that guilt. I might go to the first, but no others. No, Ted's a good brother.
The one about the horse in Korea was pretty good.
Was pretty
Yes.
good.
And what's the thing about the pigeon? When he comes back from his trip, he said, "I thought you might have buddied up to a pigeon or something," and then he choked on it. Oh my God, Henry, I forgot. What's that about?
He forgot about Flora. He forgot to feed Flora.
Yeah, because Henry likes animals more than people.
Right.
Oh,
And then
okay.
remembering that, he goes, "Oh, Flora."
Because I thought there's some American thing about the word pigeon, and I thought it's a slur on Henry or something.
No.
Okay,
No.
good.
There's
It's
a lot
not
of
that
pigeons
advanced.
in New York.
I wish you people spoke English. That'd be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are my questions? I don't even know what my questions are because I feel like, okay.
Oop.
So we learned at the end that Grandpa Charlie made up a lot of the stories that he talked about. Does that in any way inform the theme or plot? Like, I feel like that was supposed to be a late reveal, but I couldn't understand. It was interesting. And it was interesting again how Henry on some level already knew this but didn't care. And Ted did care. Does that matter? I don't know.
Yeah, because Henry did research, didn't he, and searched for his grandfather's name on Registry of Korean War Veterans. And yeah, when he sort of realizes it's all a lie, he then excuses it because his grandfather was bored. So yeah.
And also, some people make up stories, like Andrew Phillips, like everyone that we read on the show. Like, that's a form of entertainment. Like, if this guy is telling malicious lies and ruining people's lives, that's one thing. But like making up a story about Charlie Scooter, like,
Yeah.
there's a level of benignness to it that is sweet. That again, Henry is a sweet, sensitive kid for appreciating that.
No,
Henry's a
you
good
like
kid.
Henry.
I do like Henry. He's a nice kid. Let nice kids be nice.
Yeah. Okay.
He'll be fine. Why didn't you like Henry?
As I say, I just think I think he comes across as one of life's victims that I don't know. I see what you're saying. That perhaps I'm being unduly harsh on him.
He's 12, so yeah.
He's 12. Yeah. Apart from that, yeah, and he's got an evil older brother. So
Oh my God, there's nothing evil about Ted at all. I feel like the definite, like, for some reason, as the show has gone on, I've noticed our like tolerance, our bandwidth for sometimes not the best behavior, slightly shitty behavior. We're just like, well, that guy sucks. Like, like yes, Ted is imperfect, but like mostly falls on the right side of things.
You want us to have opinions, don't you?
I do want you to have opinions, but poor Ted and poor Henry, these children.
Children.
You know, it seems like he was all right. Was Grandpa Charlie?
Grandpa Charlie was fine. He was banging the rabbit breeder lady after,
Yeah.
a widower, we hope.
Why not? Yeah. And he lied about getting the rabbit spayed and all that sort of stuff. He's, yeah.
Yeah, because screw you. I'm not, no.
Also, I like how Grandpa Charlie has a fit, like, I don't need to be chaperoned. It's like, clearly you do need to be chaperoned because you can't be trusted to carry out your own word.
Yeah.
No one needs to go into the vet. Okay.
The rabbit was already old. Like, that surgery is probably bad for her. Like, I'm sure Grandpa Charlie did a whole... Yes, that's right. I'm making excuses for Grandpa Charlie, but not Ted.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Right? Like, yeah, Grandpa Charlie did a whole scheme. He's like, well, I could get her fixed, but, like, that's surgery. And at her age, that could be complicated. And she's not actually going to get pregnant. It's fine. She's an indoor bunny.
Fair enough, to be honest.
Right.
The logic is sound.
Yes.
He's like, fine, I'll just take my rabbit out to the park for a day and tell you she got spayed.
And also, remember, this is the last rabbit he kept. They had to get rid of all the other rabbits. So there's, I think, a small amount of, like, stop telling me how to live my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Understand if you don't bring all your rabbits into a house. Like, that's a lot. What are you doing with other people?
No, that's probably not a good thing.
Okay, so did the story take you guys on an emotional journey? Because one thing I realized as I was trying to analyze it and struggling a little bit is, but I still was there with the story. Like at no point did I feel like the author had lost me or that I was bored or that I wasn't connecting. So I feel like it was effective in that way. Maybe what Andy was saying was right about this being an author with a lot of potential because he has that part of it. Like he kept my interest. But I do wish I got more out of it, and maybe that is just practice and experience. Did you guys? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the story sort of rattled along quite nicely, and you were following the plot easily. He never sort of got distracted onto a side plot or anything. There's some nice bits of sentences and stuff. The kids wore baseball jerseys and had the stretched torsos and expanding interests of boys on the cusp of puberty. I think that's a great line.
That's a pretty good line.
Nicely done.
Yeah,
made a living solving others' personal crises.
Yeah, I liked
pretty
it.
Good.
Yeah, it was good. It was really smart.
Yeah, and really to write a story about a rabbit, and make it more than just some sort of emotional vomit, it was really good. I thought that's quite clever. The rabbit is in some ways the vehicle for the story, maybe.
Yeah, and there was also at no point does he ever say, "Oh, Grandpa Charlie died of suicide," but there's all these little clues that lead us there, like the admiration for the way that rabbits died, the fact that you don't want to talk about it, loneliness tying into that, without him ever saying it, and that is the kind of stuff you learn when you're getting your MFA, right? Like how to do that, but that doesn't mean everybody does it well. And like I think I've said this on past shows, where there's like a literary game where like people who read literary fiction like that game of like, what are the tiny clues that I can piece together to get like the second thing, right? The invisible thing. We do it a lot on the show, so I think for us that novelty is no longer enough, maybe because we like do it a lot. Like, yes, there's an invisible thing, and you put in clues. But it's still fun when you figure it out, right? Like when you piece things together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good, and because the writing's so good, you and because it's been published, you're sort of expecting and you're looking for something a little bit more, and it's great when you find and you see what the author did, and you think, oh, clever author. So yeah, that was pretty good.
Did you enjoy the journey, Andy, of reading the story?
I agree with all of the words you two just said, but it didn't click for me, I guess, emotionally. I was the whole time I was reading it, I was like, yep, this is a story that someone wrote to write a story. This sure is a story that I'm reading now. I recognize that fact and continue to read it.
Maybe we've talked about this as well before. There are some stories, and maybe we're wrong, I don't know, but aren't there some stories that as you read it, you're like, this story mattered to the author and I can tell? Like there are times where you can really feel like this was something that poured out of the author that they had to do and they had to get out of them. And there are other stories that do feel a bit more like an exercise that may still be very good. But there's just some stories that come out or hitting on a theme or exploring some issue, some aspect of the human condition where you're just like, and when you feel that, the story just comes alive in a different way. And, at the end of the day, maybe what I think is, I can tell that this story is something the author really cared about. It's just that I cared about it. Like maybe I'm fooling myself. Like I'm just looking in some like bizarre, like fun house where I'm just like, haha, that's the author. But it's me the whole time, just like an elongated face. But I think this story, as I read it, didn't have that. There wasn't that sort of like, when you feel like the author is really doing something that they're exploring, they really care about, it just feels different and it's hard to put your finger on it. And I wouldn't even have been able to explain it that way if we hadn't read so many of these over the past 5 years. 5 years in February.
Wow.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yes. February 15th is our birthday, our podcast birthday. But would you guys agree that there's some stories that just...
Yeah, and this isn't one.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what's a recent story we read that definitely did that. Girls at Play, Celeste Ng.
Yeah.
You can tell the author was like really invested in the thing that she was getting across, the thing that she was like focusing on, and it just feels different when that happens.
Better, some would say.
Yes, I would say that. Okay.
Yeah. Take that, Andrew Phillips.
Oh
Care
my God!
more.
Stop. Listen, one day we're gonna read a story by him, and you're gonna love it. And you're gonna eat your words, and I'm gonna like just play this back to you and be like,
Yes.
"Oh, do you regret at all the harshness of your words?" Because
Eating my words is my favorite treat because my words are lovely.
listen, 'cause we've read stories by the same author on the show where I hated one and loved the other, and I'm like,
And Andy will say that he encouraged him on to bigger and better things.
My feedback made him better.
"Oh my God!"
Right? Care more, write better. That's the key.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe.
Do we have anything else to say before we rate this puppy, as Maya would have said?
Cranky rating. Oh, jeez. Forgotten about that.
Yeah, me too.
No, write better. Yeah.
That's not a rating.
No, but that's my advice for all young authors and experienced authors even. If you're trying and you want to succeed in your craft, the key, write better.
Interesting.
Wise words.
Yeah, simple advice.
You could read, books on writing, like On Writing with Stephen King, or just listen to Andy tell you write better. You should do a separate show where you just say that in different cadences until it clicks for someone.
If you follow my simple advice, you will write better.
That's true. Just follow these simple instructions.
It's easy as 2 words.
It's easy as one.
Wait. Can I read this thing you told Rami on air to embarrass you a little bit?
Of course. And I don't think you will, though.
Yeah.
So, Rami, former host, as many of you who've been with us for a while know, messaged us on Slack. He was giving writing advice to someone or giving feedback on someone, and he needed a nice way to word what he thought of the story because he didn't have a lot of positive things to say. And then Colette, who's on our book club, Gerald, and Andy were helping Rami with this problem. And Andy goes, "For my 2 cents, I think the important bit is to make sure your critique is actionable rather than necessarily positive. You don't have to fish around for pearls in the toilet bowl, but you should tell someone how to flush. Thank you for your time and attention in this matter." Andy, do you think saying write better is teaching someone how to flush?
Yeah, absolutely.
Your own advice? I don't think you are.
What's wrong with your story? It wasn't written well enough. How do you fix it? Write better.
Is that why your toilet's backed up? You don't know how to flush?
You've got a whole flushing thing going on over in America at the moment, haven't you? It's now become a huge issue, apparently.
It is. You know what?
Okay,
for once, I am aligned with that crazy. You know what? We shouldn't get to politics, but I am aligned on this one thing because my new toilet is one of those water-saving ones, and sometimes it isn't enough. So you know what? I'm here for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
ultimately, what was my critique of this? The author's fine. He's doing work. He needs to do more of it. So
yes.
Yeah. Keep writing and care about things.
What is your rating then?
I give it a nice solid 2.
Wow.
It's a real good quality 2.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 6, you're not even breaking even. All right, Gerald.
Wow. I if I consider that a sort of story is 3, then it was well written. I did like how he wrote, so it's a 4 from me.
Yeah, I'm coming in at a 4 as well. I was debating between a 3.5 and a 4, but the more I talked about it, it's a 4.
It's a 4.
Andrew Phillips did well.
Yeah.
He did okay.
Gonna huff and puff.
Do better.
He did fine.
I'm huffing and puffing until Andy comes up to a 3. Minimum.
No, like I've rated some good stories a 3. Like he's not joining their hell of ranks.
You're harsh.
Yeah. Also, for those of you who aren't watching this live, Andy has a weird baby and some kind of like fluid sack thing, action figure thing going on that he was trolling me with it earlier.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's delightful.
oh, it lights
Oh
up.
wow!
Yeah.
It's got light and everything.
Yeah. So those of you who listen to audio only, if you go to our YouTube channel and cut in at about 30 minutes and 30 seconds, a little before you get to see this thing, he was trolling me with it. He was just mocking me mercilessly, which it's funny because actually he's the tiny baby. He was having a tantrum that we never read his stories. So we're not even doing a game. We're just going to read his story. He did not have a tantrum. I made that up.
No, you told the story.
I can't
just
continue
like
with that
Grandpa.
lie. I can't even picture you having a tantrum over something like that. I wish you would, so I could record it.
All right. I'll next time.
Okay.
I'll throw a tantrum just for you.
No, the real reason we're having Andy pick a story is because of my exhausting month. I didn't feel like doing a game. Nice.
It's that simple.
I'm the problem once again.
That's all right.
So, slightly unusual. I'm going to read the little tiny blurb from this story that made me pick it.
Ooh.
Okay.
So we'll be reading The Curfew by Roddy Doyle. Here's the blurb. He listened for whistling wind, falling branches, roof slates decapitating pensioners.
Yay.
Nice.
Right? We got pensioners getting decapitated? I'm all in.
Love it.
Yep. But the point of order, there are certain people on podcasts who are, not as young as others.
An important point of order.
Less
Right,
than
but-
3 years till I get my
Different-
attention. So
Right.
I'm
So
nearly
you're
there.
fine.
yeah,
You
okay.
decapitate them now, and there's more money in the kitty for you.
That's a good point. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Okay, so what's the story again?
The Curfew by Roddy Doyle.
Okay. But before you go, end your literary loneliness in our Facebook group, the Literary Roadhouse Readers, or on Twitter at LitRoadhouse, or our website, literaryroadhouse.com. And please think of Flora's story. It must be read by more readers. Help us reach literary enthusiasts like you by leaving a review on iTunes. And lastly, I have decided to try out this rabbit matchmaking. Not to find 2 bonded rabbits, but to sit in the tub for 10 minutes with rabbits and see if I myself can become bonded to a new rabbit soulmate. Because I am single and ready to mingle, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking at dwarves, lion heads, lops, you name it. Support my rabbit bonding and our podcast expenses at patreon.com/literary roadhouse. Every bit helps. And as always, share this podcast with the maybe secret lover of your late grandfather. Spicy. Until next time, read a good story.
I just picture you in a bathtub with a load of rabbits.